Hi everyone, it's Christine here from Ever After Paper Crafts, and today I wanted to share with you how I made this fun little Halloween card. I know it's still only July, but I am trying to get an early start on my Halloween cards. Halloween is one of my absolute favorite times of year to make cards, so I wanted to get an early start. So this is the card we're going to be working on today, and I'm going to be working on two different techniques. The first is this pearlescent watercolor background, and as I tilt this card in the light, pay attention to the background and you can really see shimmer and shine in that paint. And it'll definitely show up in the photographs that will be on my blog, and I will have a link to my blog down below in the description box of this video. So we're going to be doing some pearlescent watercoloring to make the background, and then I also want to share with you how you can color this very complicated image with watercolors. So let's go ahead and get started. The stamp set that we're going to be using today is this adorable stamp set from Kraftin Kimmie Stamps called Witch Willa. And she's really fun. There's a lot of great sentiments that come with the set as well. So this is what we're going to be working with today. So let's go ahead and get started, and we're going to be starting with the watercolor background. I already went ahead and cut out a stitched rectangle die, just a rectangle of watercolor cardstock. That's Canson XL watercolor cardstock. And I'm just going to bring a board over. I'm not going to tape this down because I'm not going to be doing heavy watercoloring today. I'm going to have a cup of water here and a regular paintbrush, and I'm going to be using some pearlescent watercolors. These are $5 at Michael's. That is their regular price. They weren't even on sale. And I wanted to test these and see if you could get a nice look from these pearlescent watercolor paints that are so inexpensive. And guys, it turns out that you can. So let me show you. I'm going to be using this purple color up here, as well as this green color right here. So you get lots of different shades of each color in this palette. It's a very large palette, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first get my paper just a little bit wet with a clean paintbrush here. And I just happen to be using a silver size 8 paintbrush. These are very nice watercolor brushes, but for this technique, you really don't need anything special. You can just simply use any paintbrush that you have at home will work just fine. So now I'm going to take the green and I'm just whooshing it on the paper. Technical term, right? But seriously, I'm just very lightly putting some color down with my paintbrush. Nothing fancy at all. I'm just spreading it around the paper. Now I'm going to take my heat gun and dry this super quick. It's very light right now. It's just barely showing up on camera, but we're going to do several coats. And I recommend when working with any kind of pearlescent watercolor paint that you do several coats, because that is what is going to get that beautiful shimmer and shine to show up. Lots of coats, be a little patient with it, and use your heat gun to dry it as you go along, so you can really coat that color on top of itself, and really make that paint shimmer and shine and make it absolutely gorgeous. I will also be having a fun giveaway in this video, so if you stick around till the end, you definitely want to stay tuned for that. So I'm going to bring in some purple now, and again I'm using that purple color that I showed you at the top of this palette here. But you do have lots of different shades that you can play with. This is pearlescent paint, which means it's very pigmented. So you really have to get it wet. You really get that water going within that paint to really get it to spread and come off onto your paintbrush. But once you do that, it's very easy to work with. It just takes quite a bit of water to get it started in the beginning. So now I put my first coat of the purple down. And again, there's no magic to what I'm doing. I'm just honestly creating a fun abstract pearlescent watercolor background. So it doesn't matter when you're doing this type of technique. It really doesn't matter where you put that paint. You can put it anywhere you want. I'm just adding another coat now. We're going to do several coats of the purple because it is a lighter color purple, and we really do want it to show up. So I'm going to come in here and just kind of put it wherever, mix it a little bit in with that green, and then I'm going to put another coat of the green while I'm at it. They're far enough apart on this piece of cardstock here that I can do 2 layers at once here. So now I'm going to dry it again with my heat gun here. There we go. It's getting dry here. And we're going to come in with one more coat, and then I'm going to pull this up to the camera so you can really see all the shimmer and shine. Now, if I weren't doing this on video, I'd probably even do a few more coats, but just for the purposes of the video, I kind of want to move this along so we can get to our coloring. But when you're playing with these paints at home, feel free to do as many coats as you like to really get that shimmer and shine to come through. So I'm going to dry this quickly, and then I'm going to pull this up to the camera so you can really see how gorgeous this $5 paint is. It's so beautiful in real life. And I'm really hoping that you'll be able to see this on camera here in a moment. All right, so let me stand up here and pull this up. There you go. Can you see all that shimmer and shine? When you turn this card in the light and turn it back and forth like so, it's just absolutely beautiful. Oh my gosh, I'm so in love and super excited because it's so inexpensive. So really, guys, you guys can do this. Check your local Michaels. This paint palette is back in the artist section where all the paints are. It's Artist Loft brand. Here's what it looks like packaged up. Okay, this is a brand new one that has never been opened, and I will be giving this away. So stay tuned at the end of the video for this. I picked another one up at Michael's yesterday, so I could give this away to one of my awesome viewers. I appreciate you guys so much, and I want to give one of these away. It's not a huge giveaway. It's only $5, but you can create gorgeous backgrounds and do gorgeous watercoloring of your images as well with this paint. So I want to give this away to one of you guys. So stay tuned to the end of the video to find out how to be entered into the giveaway. Okay, so we're done with our paints now, and I'll bring that once it's completely dry at the end of the video. I will show you what it looks like all dried up. All right, so now I want to show you quickly here how to go about tackling a complex image like this. Many years ago, I had the absolute privilege to design for Kraftin Kimmie stamps, and all of the images are absolutely amazing. But as you can see, they are very artistic and a lot more complex and complicated to color. So back in the days when I was designing for Kraftin Kimmie, I used Copics. And I want to show you now how I have taught myself to use watercolor painting with a water brush as well as my Zig markers to tackle these very complicated images. So let's go ahead and get started. I don't want this video to be too long here. So let's start with her hair. For some reason, I always tend to start with hair, and I chose brown and light brown combination for her hair color with the Zig markers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down, and I work in sections. I'm going to start with her little braid here that comes out the back. And underneath the hat, of course, is obviously going to be shaded. That's where it's going to be darkest, as well as kind of here around her ear and face. So I'm gonna do two little sections here. I really just break it up into sections as I'm going. And now I'm gonna come in with the light brown and in a circular motion, pull this darker brown color out. And of course here, I made this dark here because this is a braid. If you can see there, it's a braid. So when you have a braided hair, it's always going to have a shadow where the chunks of hair that create the braided pattern in the middle intersect. If that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. So now I'm going to take my water brush and pull the colors into the center section where the white space was left behind, and that's where our highlight is going to be. And how pretty is that? You know, your witch could really have any color hair. A lot of people do, you know, fun, different colors, purple hair or something like that. But I wanted it to have a more realistic look, so I could really kind of show you how you could use these markers if you're coloring, you know, people or what have you. So now I'm going to do this chunk of hair right here and over here by her ear, and of course down here where the chunks of hair to form the braid intersect. I'm going to come in now with the light brown, pull the color, and then take our water brush and pull that color into the middle to create our beautiful highlight. And that's just so pretty, I think. It's so pretty. Such a beautiful combination. It's a very subtle but vibrant at the same time highlight that you get from these Zig markers. And if you have the right combinations, you can really make this look like you colored it with alcohol markers or something very vibrant. I think a lot of times people see or hear, you know, watercolor and they think, oh, it's going to be really light and, you know, very pale in color and almost like, you know, water washed or something. And it doesn't have to be with these markers, and that's what makes them so cool. And I am able to achieve this look and this hair with only 2 markers. Whereas back in the day when I would use my Copics, it would take me 4 or 5 markers at least just on the hair alone. So this is definitely a very affordable way to color your images. Okay, so there we have the little braid done. Now let's work on this middle section here under her hat. It's a larger section of hair. So what I will do is I'm gonna put some, and forgive me for turning the image. I hope that that's not distracting. If it is, let me know, but I'm trying to keep my head out of it, out of the camera view. So that's kind of why I turn it. So I feel that the darkest is gonna be here under the hat, and then over here is going to be a little bit of darkness as well. And really this middle section is going to be the lightest. I feel that the light's coming in this way. So it's going to be very light. That highlight's going to hit kind of right here in the middle of this hair section. So there we go with the brown. Now we're going to come in with the light brown here and just pull in a circular motion, pull that darker brown color out. Fill in some of that white space, and now with our water brush we're going to fill in the remainder of the white space. And this is a larger chunk of hair, so you might have to give your water brush a little bit of a squeeze to get that water flowing, because it is a larger section. We're used to working with my videos smaller images. So when you have larger spaces to color, sometimes you do have to get that water flowing a little bit. But there you go. Look how pretty that looks. So pretty, just a very pretty highlight there. So now let me go ahead. I'm gonna kind of skip around a little bit and maybe not finish every section, because I don't want the video to be forever long, and I really want to be able to show you guys kind of a little bit of everything instead of just you know, have you sitting here forever watching me color. So I'm gonna kind of move along now. There's a little bit of her hair that's left, but you get the idea. And now I'm gonna come in with the hat. And I'm going to be using just black for the hat. So I'm going to put it where I feel that the shadow or the darkest part of that hat is going to be. So here we have the artist has drawn in some kind of wrinkles in the hat. So it's certainly going to be darkest there. And of course, all along the right side is going to be darkest because I have the light source coming in from the left. So I only scribble down, as you can see, a little tiny bit of that black marker. Now I'm going to take my water brush, and it's going to do all of the work for us here and really pull this color out. And as you can see, we'll be left with really nice darker areas as well as lighter areas, and it's really going to look quite lovely when we're finished here. So that is a great thing about using these markers, is you have a water brush that does all that work for you, and it's awesome. All right, so let's fill in this area down here as well. And I have a paper towel to my right here, which is probably off camera at this point, but always make sure, by the way, and I tend to mention this in every video, make sure that you have a piece of paper towel nearby, and that as you work in between colors, you scribble off your water brush, so you don't bring, you know, for example, this black into another color we're going to be working with soon. You want to make sure that your water brush is clean as you move on to each new color. All right, so here we go. There's our hat, at least the top part of the hat. Now we want to work on the brim of the hat. And so to do that, it's certainly going to be very shadowed back here because this is the furthest away from the light. So we're going to put quite a little bit of the black marker there. And there's going to be a little bit of highlight as well where it gets very thin right there. And now we'll just take the water brush here and pull this out. And as you can see, black marker really reacts to this water. There are certain zig markers, and you just kind of learn this trial and error as you go, but there are certain zig markers that just, boom, they hit that water and, you know, they are ready to go. And black is one of those. So you don't need a whole lot, especially if you're working with a tiny image. If you're working with a tiny image, just put the tiniest little line of black and you'll be fine. This is a larger image and much more complicated than what I usually do on my videos here. So that's why you're seeing me scribble down a lot more black, but generally speaking, you don't want a lot of black marker scribbled down at all. All right, so there's our hat. And now we're just going to quickly work on her dress a little bit. And she's got these little pantaloons down here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to be using violet and light violet. And I'm just going to take a little bit of the violet, which is the darker color, come around here. Again, this artist is very good at putting in kind of little wrinkles or, you know, highlights where, and that's kind of a key for you as to where the darker color is going to be. Then of course, all around her little piece of this vest or what have you that comes down is also going to shade the pantaloons as well. So you're going to have shading around this as well. Now I'm coming in with the light violet and I'm just slightly pulling this darker violet color out. And then as always, we will take our water brush and let it do the rest of the work for us. Like so. And you just get lovely, lovely shading. There you go. So I would do the top of her dress the same way, but to save some time here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab, let's see, I'm going to grab my light green marker and show you how I did this little, it's almost like a, I don't even know, it's sort of just, we'll just call it an extra to her outfit. It just kind of hangs down on top of her little pantaloons here. And I wanted to show you, this is just light green. And you might, for light green, it is very light, but it kind of has that Halloween kind of spooky green look to it. And sometimes with light colors, when you're working on watercolor paper, you do have to do a couple coats to really show the highlight. So you can just come right back in. That's a great thing about the zigs. You can color over what you just did. And there you go. You can see on that left side there, you definitely have more shading. I'm going to come in again on the right side here, just going back over what I just did and then pull it out just a little bit. And you can see you have definitely more of a shadow now, or more, I guess, drama between the shading. It was there before in real life, but now it's probably, because I went back over it again, it probably even shows up on the camera. So let's see, what else should we color here for the video? So I did, let's see, this little thing, you do this top thing the same way. So for example, I would just, you know, color this with some light green, like so, and now I'm just doing it very fast, but it's gonna match that bottom part as well. So you just do that. And then these little chunks that are left open, I just came in with my black. It's just to create like a little pattern on the vest and the little overlay on her skirt. Just came in with some black, and I just did a little bit of black this time because it is a much smaller space, and just used the water brush to pull that out just to give it a little bit of pattern to her outfit. So there we go. And then you do the same thing up there. This middle section where they're just kind of little chains and belts and such, I just did with orange. Again, just keeping with that Halloween theme. I just scribbled some orange down and then used my water brush to pull it out. She has these adorable little bags on the left side here that I would imagine contain herbs and potions and that kind of thing. So I just used light brown for those and just kind of scribbled some light brown down on the right side of them because, again, the light source is coming in this way. So we'll just pull that color out here with our water brush. And again, I'm doing this incredibly quickly at this point, but just wanted you to kind of get the idea. The book, I'm going to do a dark brown on the book here. Just pull that out with the water brush here, just using dark brown only on the outside here of this book. And then using the water brush to pull that color up. For the pages, I used blush, which I often use for skin tone, and I didn't use the water brush on the pages there, just, you know, to give it just a slight little bit of color. And now I just want to quickly show you how I did the skin tone, and we'll just do her face. I used Flesh Color and Blush for skin, and I start with the blush, which is the darker of the two colors. Always start with your darkest color first. And I just sort of made a line around where it's going to, where the shadow is going to be. Certainly under her hair, and then kind of around here. Definitely darker on the right side because again, we have the light source coming in from the left. So I'm just using the Flesh Color now and going in a circular motion to pull the blush out. And now I'm taking my water brush and pulling it all in, and I'm going to go over it again because again with the lighter colors when you're working on watercolor paper you often have to come in twice just to get it to show up very, because the watercolor paper is thicker. So sometimes you just need to give it a second coat to get it to really show and to really show those highlights. And now we're just going to blend it again. And in real life now, I can definitely see shading on the skin tone face. And it is light and subtle. It will show up in the pictures on my blog. It might not show up here on camera, but I promise you it is there. Now I'm just taking some almond pink and putting a little bit of blush on this cheek here. And then I take my water brush and just go over that and blend it in. And now we're gonna put a little bit over here for the cheek that's kind of hidden, but you can still see a little bit of it. And then we take our water brush, of course, and blend that in as well. Now to do her eyes, I like to put a little bit of color in her eye. So what I did for that is I just took regular green, and this is the scary part, ready? Because you've done all of this work, right? And you don't want to mess it up. So just take green and just kind of go in a circle around the pupil. Just a little tiny bit. See, I just put a little tiny bit of ink down there with the marker. Now I'm going to take my water brush and kind of blend it and get it nice and circular. You don't want it to look weird or, zombie-like. You kind of want to fade it out a little bit with that water from your water brush. So it's just a very, light and subtle kind of green. There we go. And you definitely want to go back over it with that water brush. And all I'm doing is tracing over the color that I put down with my water brush again and again to blend that color in so it's not quite so dramatic, but also at the same time will show some color for her eyes. Okay, so that's it. Obviously, I didn't color the entire image, but I colored a little bit of every part to give you an idea of how to get started. And as you can see, even by coloring super quick, you can get really nice results. Let's bring back over the finished card so you can see it all put together. So here we have the full card here. You can see I cut the image out and popped her onto the watercolor background that we created, added a sentiment from the set, which I just heat embossed with white ink, and then stuck it on some glitter paper that I have in my stash, added a purple burlap ribbon, and then just added some sequins, and that finishes up my card. Here is the background that we just did on camera with that pearlescent paint. It's all dry now, and look how beautiful and shimmery and shiny it is. It's so pretty in person. And here it is on the finished card. You can see here how beautiful this is. So that's it, guys. That's the card and the coloring and the pearlescent watercolor background techniques for you today. Here is the Artist Loft pearlescent paint, which I used today, that I'm going to be giving away as a giveaway here on my YouTube channel. All you have to do to be entered to win this is simply leave me a comment on this video. I would love it if you subscribe to my channel if you don't already, and or gave a thumbs up to this video, but none of that is required. All you have to do for a chance to win this palette of pearlescent watercolor paint is just leave me a comment on this video, and I would love to send this to one of you guys. Your support means the world to me. So that's it, guys. That's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed this fun coloring and watercolor background. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.